You know, I wanted some fish tacos today, and I have everything I needed to make fish tacos. So I pulled the salmon out, and I had every intention of that, but probably about 5 minutes in, maybe about like right now, when I was starting to peel the skin off of the salmon, I was like, you know what? I want to make some salmon nuggets, like some fried salmon nuggets. I should just throw them in the air fryer with some Cajun seasoning, and then I'll make a little garlic butter sauce or something to go on top. Maybe with a little white rice or something like that. And that sounded great. Now, usually, when I make salmon, I make a little meal for Poppy too. Either make him a little salmon croquette or salmon and peanut butter, salmon and rice. And I decided I wanted to just make him some salmon with some eggs and some peanut butter. Make it into like a little salmon patty. Throw it on a little rice for him. Because every time he smells salmon, he just loves it. I like salmon too, but every time he smells salmon, he thinks he's getting some. And 9 times out of 10, he is. And you can see I was having a little problem trying to get the skin off. Sometimes I would boil a little hot water because I think I saw on TikTok you boil water and just spray it or drop it on top of the skin and it would just literally peel right off. But of course I wanted to do it the hard way. Finally got a good grip on it here and just decided to just start pulling. When I pull and pull and pull, I finally feel it starting to give. So just little by little, just pull that off, get that going. And that little meat that's left over there with a little bit of that skin, that's what I'm gonna use to make Poppy's little meal. But now, the fun part. Let's go ahead and get this all sliced up, sliced and diced, so we can make our little nuggets. Got to make sure you cut them a little thick, just because if they're too thin or if they're really flimsy, then they're just going to just be hard as shit when you take them out of the air fryer. Really crispy is sometimes good, but you don't want them to be overly crispy because then you really don't get all of that flavor. So we got to make sure we cut it kind of thick. Up, get that off a little bit. Like, damn, didn't want to separate. Come on. Snip it right there. Boom. All right. So now we're going to split this into 3 long slices. Okay, so now we got everything all chopped up. It's time to add our olive oil so we can get all of our seasonings and stuff into there. So you just want to drizzle the olive oil right on the top. Then you want to go right in with some garlic powder. I only got a little bit left in this bottle, so we're going to squeeze every little inch of that powder out of there. Then we're going to pop open the fresh new one. All right, so that one's trash. Got that fresh one. Gonna pop that open. We're going to douse it in garlic powder. Once we got our garlic powder, then we got to hit it with some onion powder. Same thing. Nice even coat of onion powder. Then after the onion powder, we're going to hit it with a little bit of chili powder. Not a lot, but the chili powder just adds a little distinct taste to it. Then after the chili powder, we're going to add in a little bit of that spice rub Cajun seasoning. Now this stuff, it packs a while up, but it's really good. So just going to make sure we put a lot of that on there. To me, it's kind of better than Old Bay. Then we're going to add some of that Tony Chachere's with no salt. Because we don't want to add a lot of sodium to this because it's really, really easy to over-salt seafood. So we're going to add some of that Tony Chachere's. Then we're going to add our own salt. Just a little bit. Just so we can know how much salt we put into things. And that should be enough right there. Then after that, get in there with your hands, and you're going to make sure every piece is coated. We want them to be coated with olive oil, and we want them all to be coated with all of that seasoning. We don't want them to look pink no more. We want these to look orangey brown or something along those lines. We want them to be all seasoned. Okay, now we're going to add in our panko breadcrumbs. We're going to put a nice little bit of that panko in there because the panko is what's going to give it a nice little crunch when it's in the air fryer. So you put a nice little bit in there, make sure it's coated. Then we're going to put that to the side. And we're going to grab some regular breadcrumbs. I want to have regular breadcrumbs on there too, just for the little spaces that didn't, get caught by that panko. So we're just going to douse it in some panko, and we're going to douse it in some regular breadcrumbs too. So now again, take your hands, a little moist, a little wet, just wet them a little bit, and then you just want to toss it in that panko breadcrumb and that regular breadcrumb until they're evenly coated. Now, as you can see here, they're not looking that evenly coated to me, so I feel like I might want to add a little bit more breadcrumb to this. Just a little bit. Yeah, shake it up a little bit. But like I said, to me, they're not looking evenly coated. I feel like I need to come back in maybe with a little bit more breadcrumb. So let me just grab that real quick. There we go. Regular breadcrumb right on top. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but that piece on top, it just didn't look coated to me. It was very much still naked out here. So again, we're just going to toss it until everything feels coated. And that feels a lot better. Now it feels like those would be good and ready. Then at this point, you just want to start adding everything to your air fryer. You want them to be evenly spaced, but you don't really have to worry about crowding them too much because even if you do, they're going to get a little bit smaller once they start to cook. So these are okay to crowd a little bit once they're in your air fryer. So don't even worry about that. Just fit as many as you can in there because you can double batch it. Then you're going to spray it with some non-stick spray, and we're going to pop it in our air fryer for 380 for about 20 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, you just want to look at it again just to make sure that it ain't burnt and that they're evenly cooking. You don't really have to flip these, but you can if you want to. Then after 20 minutes, go ahead and take them out. Then you want to just get them onto a paper towel or a wire rack. My wire rack was dirty, so I decided to throw it on a baking sheet with some paper towel. But it should be nice and crispy once you pop them out. And they should be perfect. You can eat them immediately, but I would recommend 5-10 minutes just to let them cool down a bit. In that time, you can make your sauce.